that says record. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining this practice today. You know that this is a 60-minute practice, so we are going to get going right away and then use a little bit of time. Ah, hi Lisa, I can see you. Then use a little bit of time to sit and end the practice in the way that we want to kind of like transition into our day, right? A little bit of breathing and setting ourselves for the day. So today, the first thing that we are going to do as we start, we are working a lot on hip flexors, glutes, and legs. So you're going to, I'm going to say, work the way that feels appropriate for you, as we always do in this practice, okay? The beginning will be a modified version of what we usually do when we want to do a child's pose. So, and of course, this is again, if you can do it, right? If it feels like you cannot, then you take the usual child's pose position, or you can come onto your back and hug your knees in. But the idea for today is to start in a tabletop. And from the tabletop, I'm going to invite you to cross the right knee behind the left one. So I'm creating a shape that looks like, of course, one knee is in front of the other, right? And you can open your shins and your feet out a little. And the idea is that from here, then you send your hands a little bit forward, not too far, because we're going to be pushing back and we want to get a stretch in the outer glutes and the hips. So you'll do what you can here. You see how I'm pressing and trying to go towards the seat. And you can even, as you start doing that, you can even walk your hands back a little again towards yourself and try and get the sitting bones a little lower. But for each of us, this will work or feel different. So you're gonna go easy on it, okay? So let's release here the torso, the head, and give yourself a moment to breathe in and out. I know that this is a beginning where we are already kind of like, I'm going to say, engaging stuff, right? So it's just a moment to start to notice that stretch, that sensation. I'm guessing that you're going to feel it more in your left side because that's the leg that it's in front. So that left glute, maybe the IT band, the hamstring, they feel like they are starting to wake up, okay? So like I said before, if you need to modify or come a little more vertical with the hips, you do so. Okay, another breath here. And then we are slowly coming back towards that tabletop position. I'm going to bring the right knee back to that tabletop or quadruped. And whenever you feel ready, if you need an extra breath here, take it. We are going to switch sides. So now I'm going to invite you to cross the left knee behind the right one. Again, we are opening those shins a little bit out to the sides. And at your pace, go gradually towards that seat, let's say your child's pose position. If you engage your belly here a little, it will help you make a little bit of space and push into the back body, perhaps a little bit more. And then you assess where is your seat for this side. And you may hear all teachers say this often, but you know how we have one side that performs and feels very different than the other. So notice here, sensations, differences, see if you can release here through the neck and the head. And let's give ourselves a few breaths. Nice. Then we are slowly walking ourselves back into the quadruped position and taking that left leg back to the usual shape. Beautiful. Once we get here, we make sure again that the shoulders are above the wrist. You can, if you want, dial your finger pads a little bit to the sides. You don't need to spread the fingers too far away from one another. And let's do a few pelvic circles here first. So the belly button stays facing down. We try to engage the abdomen so we are not twisting the trunk here or the pelvis, and we are just keeping it, like I said, facing down, right? So we do 3 circles one way. And then 3 circles the opposite way. Nice job, guys. Beautiful. Excellent. And then after doing those 6 complete, let's say, those 2 cycles, what we are going to do here is now add the arching and the rounding like we do many times. So slowly we start engaging a little bit more through the pelvis, lifting the tailbone, dropping through the abdomen, feeling that front spine open up a little more. And then the opposite movement, right? In this first one, we are just kind of like assessing, right, how we can open. And then we start adding more and more the ujjayi breath that we pair it with the movement. So we inhale, we are opening outer shoulders back. We exhale, dropping the tail, low belly lifting, pushing the floor, dropping the head. Let's go for a few more. Inhaling, exhaling. Breathing in, you have also the opportunity to feel your shins, your feet connecting more together with the hands as we push the floor, right? And with the exhale, that sensation of gradually and almost like segmenting the spine. One more, last one here. Good, and then we'll return to the tabletop after the last one. We are bringing the big toes towards one another and widening the knees so we can push back into the traditional child's pose. And again, like I said before, if you need to modify this and come onto your back, you can do that. In this child's pose, we're going to take just one ujjayi at the center or the neutral position, pushing with the hands down and forward, trying to get the chest a little lower, perhaps the forehead touching down. And then we are adding the side stretch, walking both hands and torso over to the left first to open the right side. Any amount that you can move towards the left diagonal, that's great. We are lifting the abdomen again so we can connect it to the back body, maybe keeping those sitting bones heavy and then going over to the left, any amount. And the idea here is to try and breathe towards that whole right side in your body, almost like drawing a C letter in a way, and feeling that power that goes from your right pinky finger all the way to your right hip. Then we slowly walk back, returning towards that mat, of course, sticky mat or center. Push again forward and down to feel the chest coming down, shoulder blades, bracing a little bit behind the heart. And then we are taking it over to the right. So we lift the abdomen, engaging that abdominal wall. We walk over towards the right side. Good job, Brian, lifting that abdomen as much as we can to engage the core, and then we drop again. And this time it is the left side that we are giving it that C shape in a way, and we are breathing into all of those little pockets that we can maybe access as we breathe from the left finger, left pinky finger, sorry, until we get to the left hip. Beautiful. Then we are going back towards the center or the mat. Another breath at the center. And then we are returning to the tabletop. When we get back to the quadruped position, we are going to do hip circles, and you're going to go again easy and check if this is something that works for you, okay? So we are going to start by pressing firmly through the left knee, left shin, and left foot. Of course, your hands are all also supportive and you're not bending your elbows. We are going to try and keep the abdomen also and the pelvis in a neutral position, meaning that we are not going to arch or we are not going to round. We are staying in the center. And as we do that, we are going to lift the right knee off the floor, and we are going to start taking the right knee out to the side, then back, then down. That will be one circle, right? And then again, out to the side, back, and down. I am not doing super big circles because I want my pelvis to stay facing down as much as possible, okay? So it's not super big. Again, out to the side, then back, and then down. Beautiful. Two more. Out, back, and down. Trying to engage that low belly, and back, and down, and we put that right knee down and we wiggle a little bit side to side. Good. We did only one direction, so now we are going to reverse the direction of that same leg. So right knee again, lifting, but before that I'm setting up my pelvis, lifting the abdomen, lifting the knee, and now I'm going backwards, then to the side, and then in. For 2, go easy. And of course, if instead of 5, you are okay doing 3, do 3, okay? I'm going for the third one. 4. And 5. And then I'm, of course, at the end, I'm placing the right knee down again. We wiggle again a little bit through the hips. Nice. And then we are going to the second side. So get ready, lift the abdomen, get that spine in a neutral position. Press through the right knee, right shin, right foot. Lift the left knee towards you. We are going out first, towards the left, back, and down. Out, back, and down. For 3, 4, and 5. And then we release. Maybe we wiggle again a little before we reverse this last side, okay? Here we go, last one. We press through that right side so we can lift the left knee and have the support. I'm going backwards first. So 1, 2. Don't lose your breath. Good, keep pushing the floor like if you're doing a plank. We are almost there, last one. And we come back. Maybe you start feeling it a little bit in your glutes and wiggle the hips side to side. And if you want, you can bring the hips a little lower towards one side and then towards the other side. So we are adding a little bit more stretching and a little bit of twisting. Good. Excellent. From here, we are going to rest from the quadruped position for a moment. We are going to come up to kneeling. So if you need a pad for your knees, please bring it here, okay? With my hands on my hips, this is the invitation, but you could always grab a chair or have some extra support if you need instead. I'm going to bring the right foot forward into a low crescent or low lunge, okay? Super. And then from here, we are going to make a point in having the tailbone moving down, the low abdomen lifting, and the front ribs staying connected to your body. So we don't want to over pop the ribs, okay? You can, like I said before, keep your hands on your hips. If you feel like you have this idea of grabbing into the core and holding on to that tailbone moving down without having to have your hands on your hips, you could also, this is a little bit more challenging, you could also have your hands behind your head. Now in this one, we keep the elbows out and we want to make sure that we are bringing the front ribs in at all times, okay? So either or, both work. We are going to press the pelvis forward, right? Coming towards the front. It's okay. You can see how my knee is a little bit passing my ankle. It's totally fine. What I don't want to overdo is to overarch. That's not the idea. So I'm dropping the tailbone and lifting the belly, okay? And then we push through the right foot and we come back. And then again, down. Yes, and you can do it holding the hips, okay? And back. And down for 3, and back. Every time I'm coming back, I'm remembering to drop the tailbone and lift the belly, okay? Last one. Super. I'm going to add one more, sorry. I'm adding one more so you can stay there for a moment, right? And we keep it there so we are opening that left hip flexor a little bit more. So one full breath. And then we are coming back. Beautiful. And we put that right knee back in place. Okay, take a breath. Good. Now we are going to anchor through the right side, bring the left foot forward. Of course, if you need your hands to help you do that, you can do it. And you can choose either or hands behind or at the hips, okay? Let's start with that neutral position for the pelvis, dropping the tailbone, lifting that abdominal wall. And we are going for 5. And then we add a 6th one, so we stay a little, okay? Let's go. 1, 2. Good. Every time you come back, you can reset into neutral, okay? 3, 4, and 5. I can feel it. And then 6, 1, I'm staying a little longer. Firm your hips towards the midline, drop that tailbone and lift the abdominal wall. Good job. Chest stays open. We try to minimize the popping of the ribs. And then we are coming back and putting that left shin, left knee back down onto the sticky mat. Beautiful. Okay. If you can, you sit back onto your heels for a moment. If not, you put blocks in between or anything that you need in between. We are not staying too long from here. We are going to inhale, send the arms overhead. You can interlock your fingers and press the palms up overhead. We are trying to keep the chin of the chest, the tailbone heavy, and again, the front ribs bracing in a little bit so we don't pop, okay? One full breath here. Then with the exhale, we release the arms and we bring them behind. Beautiful. If you can, you interlock fingers behind you, or you can take a strap, okay? Shoulder blades are moving into one another and we extend the arms behind. If you need to keep the elbows bent, you can keep the elbows bent. Let's inhale. Exhale. Then we release the arms. We are returning to the quadruped position. And from here, we are going to move into downward facing dog. So we move the knees a few inches behind the hips. This first down dog today, we are going to do it with the feet in the same distance as your sticky mat. So try and bring them wide, tucking the toes. And then from there, we are pressing firmly through the hands, the knuckles of the forefingers and the finger pads to push and come up. And in this first down dog, because it's a little wider, of course, give yourself a moment maybe to lean to one side and the other, pushing the chest towards the legs, playing a little bit around to feel your down dog and connect it to your breath. Nice. So we are doing that Ujjayi breath. Hi, Julie. As much as we can. And whenever you are kind of like, you feel like, okay, I did a little bit of movement already, I twisted around, or I feel like I want to pause. When you're ready to pause, now the instruction is, can you bend both knees at the same time? Not super deep, but just you make sure that you feel like they are bent. And then you press again through the pinky side of your hands. You create an external rotation in your upper arm bones, dropping the neck and the head, and you feel the sitting bones shooting up towards the skies. Take a nice breath here. Notice if your upper back is sinking. Try and broaden it a little bit more by bringing your front ribs in. And then let's try and send the heels heavy and long towards the end of the mat. Yes, Brian, good job. Let's breathe in and out. Super. And then from there, we are going to walk the feet together. So now at the back of the mat, we have the feet, inner feet touching, okay? And I'm going to do a like different version than the usual for our plank. So with the feet together, we inhale, we come to plank. And this plank, we are going to try and keep it with the inner heels touching, the inner legs touching, with the pelvis a tiny bit tucked, and we are lengthening through the front of the spine, and we are keeping the upper back broad. So the inner legs are super powerful because they are trying to stick into one another, okay? Breathe in, breathe out, and push back to down dog. Nice, take a full breath here. And I'm adding one more like that, okay? Inhaling, plank pose with the inner legs. They are glued to one another. We are pushing through the heels. We are lifting those inner thighs that are glued together. We are lifting the belly and we are pushing the floor with the hands. And we are lengthening through the crown of the head. Good job. And then back to down dog. Nice. From this shape, we are going to inhale the right leg up and back. And then with the exhale, we are going to try and bring the right foot outside the right hand. You can help it get there if it doesn't get there, okay? Because it's a little more journey to travel, let's say. So from here, you can always put blocks under your hands if you want or not. But today, we're going to keep that right heel in and the toes out. And the exercise that I'm going to invite you to do here with me, it's a little different than the usual. So usually when we're in this lunging position, we let the pelvis drop. So I'm showing it here, like how my pelvis is kind of like up, like we do that. But today I'm going to say, let's consciously lift the pelvis a little higher than what we usually do. And after doing that, make your right knee come forward towards your toes. So I'm letting it go forward a little. And my left heel, I'm trying to push it away from my body. So the right knee is going forward, the left heel is going back, while I keep my hips a little bit elevated. You're gonna feel the big stretch inside your legs, I hope. Okay, let's inhale. And now before we let go of this, can you walk your left toes a tiny bit further back? Can you send them like clink, 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 maybe a little further back? Oh yeah. Okay, don't drop the pelvis and keep pushing through the heel and your right knee. Nice. Let's go back to down dog. Oh boy, I feel it. If you need to rest, rest, okay? Bring the knees down. So I'm pedaling a little bit, making sure that I mobilize again. And then I'm going to bring again my feet together. You could do this from a tabletop, right? So you can be on your knees. Second side, I'm going to invite you to send the left leg up and back. And then that left foot is coming outside the left hand into a lunging position. Nice job. Use your blocks, anything that you need here. Okay, if you need to bring your knee down and do this with your knee down, it's totally fine. You can still do the same exercise that we are doing and you engage the same. But the only thing that I would say is that if you're keeping that back knee down, you move it a little further back. So then you feel that same stretch that we are trying to do in the inside of the leg, okay? If you are lifting and doing the regular lunge, you want to walk those right toes a little further back, just a touch. And then we are going to lift the pelvis, let that left knee move forward towards the toes, and the right heel move back towards the wall you have behind you. You're going to feel it again, like I said before, inside your legs. So stretch the heel and the knee away from one another, push the floor like plank. And then we are going back to down dog. Yay, we wiggle again a little bit side to side. Full breath, maybe a sigh out. Good, and now with the feet hip distance apart, so we are going towards a plank that is our regular shape. We take plank pose. You can use your knees to come down or bend the elbows and come all the way down. We are coming to the floor. Good. Extend your legs here, press the tops of the feet down, and we're coming into our first cobra. So we take it easy. We always want to firm the glutes and lift the low abdomen here, okay? Exhale, releasing, forehead down. We are going to transition through a child's pose. So we push back, hips are coming towards the heels. And then we are going back up to down dog when you feel ready. If you need an extra breath, take it. Good. Another breath. And now I'm going to add a little modification to this first sequence that we did, okay? So it will start pretty much the same, but we're going to add pieces. Maybe the blocks will be useful here, okay? So again, I'm going to bring the feet together. And this time, we send the right leg up with the inhalation. And with the exhale, we take the plank with the right knee coming to your right elbow. I don't necessarily want you to touch the knee to the elbow, but I want you to be like one paper away. So it's really close. And then right leg up and back. And then again, we bring that right foot forward outside the right foot. Right foot forward, outside the right hand, sorry. Outside the right hand. Okay, so same idea as before. We are going to lift the pelvis, let that right knee come forward a little. Left foot is walking back a tiny bit, and then I'm pushing through the heel. So same as before, right knee is trying to come forward away from the pelvis, left heel is trying to go back towards the wall behind. My hips are a little bit elevated, and now I'm adding a twist. So the left hand is pushing down into a block or the floor, and we elevate the right arm, and we turn the belly and the chest. Now make sure that your left shoulder is plugged into your socket, okay? So the shoulder is moving back and you're turning the belly and the chest at the same time that we are pushing right knee forward, left heel back. Nice, right hand down, and we go back to down dog. Take a break if you need it. Wiggle a little. Full breath. Good, and I'm going directly into the second side. Left leg goes up and back. And then again, plank pose with the left knee coming to the elbow. I don't really want to touch it. I want it to be like super close, almost touching. And then left leg up and back. And then left foot outside the left hand. Second side. Super. Last part of this sequence, okay? So we are coming in, same idea. I'm going to walk the right toes back a little. We push there, but we make sure that before we are lifting the pelvis just a little bit, we let the left knee come forward towards the toes, right heel back towards the wall, and we lengthen the trunk. And then we are adding a twist. Push through the right hand, go to the left. We release left hand down, and we are going back to down dog. Good. We are coming back to plank. You can avoid the vinyasa if you don't want it. I'm just adding for warm up. We are coming back down to the floor. We are taking another cobra. Glutes are engaged. We are sending the shoulder blades down the back. Exhaling. We transition back again through a child's pose. We give ourselves a little break. Breathe into your lower back. Let the hips drop, maybe the chest, soften the face. And then we are going up to down dog. From this down dog, today, we are going to walk the hands back towards the feet. And as we come closer, we bend the knees so we can take the forward fold here with the knees soft. We release the trunk, the neck and the head. Let's grab opposite elbows, release the head here, and just rock a little bit side to side. It's not too big. Go to the angle that feels appropriate for you a couple of times. Make sure the head is loose. And then as you come back to center, release here a little longer, drawing that navel up. Good. Then we are going to add a deep twist, a deep seat version of what we usually call the chair. So instead of coming to my usual chair with the arms up overhead, I am going to try and bring the hips low, more or less parallel to the floor. So it's a deep squat, of course, at your availability. And as you press through the heels and lift the belly, just bring your arms parallel to the floor a little bit in front of you. Good job. Let's breathe in and breathe out. You're gonna feel it possibly, hamstrings, quads. Good, then we release again into the forward fold. And this time we change the game a little bit. We come into that half lift that we do many times with the hands supporting. So I'm bringing the hands towards the knees or the thighs or the shins. And once we are there, again, we are pushing through the center of the heels and sending the collarbones wide towards the back of your body. Yes, Brian, excellent. Let's breathe here. Stay for the exhale. We are going to stay here. So we are engaging the core, of course. Bend the knees a slightly bit just so they are not locked and bring your hands to your hips. Keep lifting that belly and sending the elbows up towards the skies. And as we push through the heels, we are coming up to standing. Nice. Then we exhale and release the arms and we shake it a little bit here. I know we are at the back of the mat. So from here, if you need, you can rock a little bit like I'm doing, side to side. Good. I am going to turn so you can see me better, but you can stay where you are at the end of the mat. I'll go back there in a moment. We are going to keep the feet parallel, hip distance apart, but we're going to turn the toes just a tiny bit out, just for support and balance. Keep the pelvis in a neutral position. So we are dropping the tailbone, we are lifting the belly, and we are going to send the arms out to the side. So my arms are parallel to the floor. We are going to try and keep that pelvis in that neutral position and engaging the core as we only move from the waistline up. So the idea goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job. 6, 7. We are going for 10. 8, 9, 10. We come back to center and we release it. Shake it a little bit if you need. Really nice to open up side body. And going back to where we were from the back of the mat, we are going to inhale, arms up overhead. Exhaling to the forward fold. Inhaling halfway up. And with the exhale, we are taking ourselves back to down dog. So you walk your mat, you set yourself. You know that down dog can be replaced by a tabletop position. So if you need, you can do that, okay? We inhale to plank pose. And this time we exhale, we come all the way down to the floor. Good. We are staying here because we're going to bring the forearms in front of us. Good. And pushing the elbows down, the elbows are under the shoulders. We're going to bring the palms together. You can choose to interlace your fingers or keep them just like a prayer position, okay? Super. And now We are going to keep working a little bit more. So we push the elbows down, we pull them in. We are going to tuck the toes. And again, I'm going to have my feet together. So it's a little different of a version here. Good. I'm walking my toes in. We are going to engage the abdomen and lift the pelvis for a forearm plank. Good. Lift the pelvis if you can, right? And the hips. Super. And I'm going to count here a little bit. So push through the heels. Again, engage those inner legs like if they are glued together, belly in, and push the floor with the elbows so the upper back is broad, okay? We count 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, almost there, 3, 2, 1, and we come all the way down. Beautiful. Awesome. Untuck your toes. Bring your arms into a sphinx position. So now they are parallel, right? Pressing the floor with the palms. We press the pubic bone down. We inhale. We lift the sternum. Shoulder blades are moving down your back. One more breath. Super. Then we release forehead down. And we are going back to a child's pose. And back to down dog. Full breath here. If you need to stay in the child's pose instead, do so. Then we are going to bend both knees, lift the abdomen and look forward. And your choice, you can hop or walk or step to the top of the mat and take a forward fold. Knees are always soft for these movements, so we don't overdo it for the hamstrings. Good, and the way up, we are going to use that deep chair that we used before. So if you can, you're gonna bend your knees deeply, send the sitting bones down. Maybe you bring your arms in front. Take a full breath, and then push through the heels and come all the way up to standing. Hands to the heart. Good, let's take a moment here. Let's scan body sensations. Connect to earth through your feet. Let that energy below you be supportive. And you draw those nutrients into your system. Noticing how you feel in this standing position, and perhaps visiting little spaces or spots so you can soften and release if you feel like you're gripping or holding. We relax the face and we soothe ourselves, slowing down the breath. And then we release through the arms. Maybe we shake it a little. Excellent. Okay. So now I'm going to do some standing shapes that are also helpful for glutes and hamstrings and hip flexors. We are going to be using a block for sure. And I'm also going to invite you to use the long of the mat like this. So I'm going horizontal, let's say, instead of using the front of the mat on the short side, okay? So for now, I'm going to hold on to my block until I show you what we are doing. I am going to start from the back of my mat. So my heels are touching the back border. Yes, Brian, I'm touching the back border of the mat. And you'll see why in a second, okay? So my feet are wide, but they are not extremely wide. Think of when you do a triangle pose, more or less, and that's kind of like the distance between the feet, okay? And then we are going to invite the left foot to turn in a little because we are going to do a triangle, but it's a little modified. So the left foot is coming in a little, the right foot is going out, and that right foot, instead of keeping it in the back of my mat, like the same as the left, what I'm going to do is to start walking my right foot until I take it towards the other border of my mat. You see how I went all the way? And for some of us, going all the way, it's not possible because we start feeling wobbly. So you're going to go as far as you feel like you can hold the shape, okay? For some of us, it may be half of the way in the mat, and it's totally fine, okay? I'm going up to like the place where I'm like, okay, I can still hold it. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm trying to keep my pelvis in what it would be the triangle position. So I'm not turning the pelvis towards the right, okay? I'm trying to open it so it stays facing it stays open, right? I'm facing the front of my mat, what I would call now the front of the mat, okay? Now, once I'm done with that, hold, right? You need to really pull through the feet and the legs. I'm going to put my block right behind the right shin. And you're going to, just to start, I would put it in the tallest of the settings. And maybe if you then see that you don't need the tallest, then you move it down and you have it in the middle setting, okay? So first off, here, we are going to grab onto our hips. We are going to firm the hips into the midline, and I'm naturally needed to engage the right glute, because if you don't engage it, you are going to feel more wobbly, okay? So I'm squeezing that right bottom into my body, lifting the abdomen and dropping the tailbone. And then we are going to try and send the arms out to the sides. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, because my right leg is in front of me, I am not going to go with my triangle pose to my right leg because it's like I'm going further forward than my usual. So I'm going to try and keep my body really in the neutral or in the center, let's say, of the mat. And from there, lengthen and go to my block. That's why the block is kind of like in the middle of the mat, okay? When you get there and you notice if the height of the block is okay, then you're going to turn the belly and the chest up and reach up through the left arm. Awesome. Now, I don't know if you can see, but I can see how my underside in my torso, it's a little rounded. You see, like there's a little bit of a C shape. So I'm going to try and lengthen it a little bit by coming a little like closer from the top of my left ribs down to my hips. So if I do a little bit of that, then I'm creating a little bit more length in that underside, okay? And then from there, we move the shoulders away from the neck and we turn the belly and the chest. It doesn't matter that it's not a very low triangle, okay? But squeeze the right bottom in. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Push through the feet, see if you can come back. Oh, haha. And then bring the hands towards the hips. Don't get out yet. The easiest way to get out of this shape is to bring the back foot forward because it feels a little wobbly. So kind of like a big step towards the front foot. Yay. And then shake it. Yay, good job. Okay, I'm going to start my second side. So now both heels are touching the back of my mat. I have the block again with me because I'm going to place it on the other side. We turn the right toes in a little and then the left toes out a little. And once I'm there, I'm going to start assessing how far can I go with my left leg. So I'm going to start walking. You see how I'm like trying to place my left foot as close to the front border of the mat as I can. So it's, as I was telling some students yesterday, this is a triangle that has more depth, right, to it, because instead of being in one plane, I'm forcing my hips and my glutes and my hamstrings to work different, okay? This is what we are doing. Engage that left glute, bring it in like a little rock into your pelvis. We are lifting the torso. We are going to put that block now in the second side, which is behind the left shin. I'm keeping it at the tallest of the settings because for me, it's like the most helpful, okay? We can start with the hands on the hips if you want. Make sure that you're not turning your pelvis towards the left. You're keeping it at the center. Firm that left glute again, drop the tailbone, lift the abdomen, and we go with the arms out. Nice. Let's breathe here, softening shoulders down. Good, and now I'm going to try and reach forward at the level of the middle of my mat, right? And then go down towards my block. When I get to my block, I am going to now start like organizing the shape, okay? So again, I'm going to engage the left glute. Now I'm going to try and reach with my right side ribs a little bit down so my underside is not so compressed. I'm turning belly and chest up to the skies, and then we send the right arm up. We are doing our best, of course, right? Shoulders down the back, and we are feeling that belly twisting up towards the skies. Good job, guys. Firm, firm, firm those glutes. Press, of course, through the feet. Good. Now we are going to press firmly through the feet so we can bring ourselves back up. Ah, nice. And then bring the hands down to your hips. Press firmly through the left foot so you can bring your right foot forward. Yes. And shake it a little. Great job. Okay, you're going to keep that block with you. This time you can put it in front of you or a little bit to the side in case you need to grab it. You can bring the second one as well in case. And again, we're going to bring those feet parallel at the back of the mat. I am now inviting you to press more firmly through the outer edges of the feet, dropping the tailbone. We're going to bring the hands to the hips and send the elbows back. Good. Now in this one, we're going to drop the tailbone and lift the abdomen like before, but we are going to let our body go a little bit more into a back bend. So we are lifting the front of the spine. And then as we drop the tailbone, we let the chest keep going up and the head a little bit back. And if I can show you sideways, with your hands, you are even pushing down into your glutes, right? So I'm doing that with my palms. So it's helping me drop the tailbone and lift, 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 and maybe go a little further. Good. Then from there, we are bringing it up. I'm going to switch again. And we keep going forward towards the fold, lengthening the torso. If you are only coming into that tabletop measurement, then you put your hands on your blocks here, okay? If you're okay coming forward more and folding more through the hip flexors, you're going to send those pockets of your hip flexors up and back and fold the elbows to come a little further down into the fold. If you can, you bring your hands towards the line of your feet, rolling shoulders up and back, and we release through the head. Breathe here a few times. If, like I said before, you're using the blocks to stay more in the tabletop position, same idea. You use that support, you send the shoulders back, you keep lifting through the abdomen, you try to make your sternum reach forward, and your inner thighs are going back. So we are engaging those thighs and kneecaps like when we do down dog, and we are sending that power back towards the wall or whatever it is that you have behind you, okay? Good. From there, we are returning towards quote unquote this more or less tabletop shape, just so we can heel toe the feet and bring them closer and move towards a squat. And of course, you can modify the squat by having the blocks under your sitting bones, by grabbing a chair and perhaps doing just the shape of the squat on a chair. You sit and you open the knees and the feet like the squat shape. In this one, we let the hips drop. Super. And then we're going to transition all the way down to the floor, but you can use your hands if you need. I kept my blankie with me because I'm going to use it as a little bit of a prop to sit up a little higher. You can, of course, double that prop, right? And make it even a little bit more. I'm going to do that because it feels good. And then I lift my sitting bones onto it. So I have a little extra base here to open my legs, okay? Awesome job, people. This one was a little bit of a tougher class than my usual. Okay, so now the legs are not extremely wide. We are sitting wide the way we can. We are pushing through the heels and pressing them down. So that means that the thighs are also connecting to the earth. And if you want with your hands, even you can roll the thighs a little bit in towards the floor and release a little bit of the flesh of the buttocks up and back. Okay, super. From here, last portion that we are doing, we are extending through the heels. We keep the torso tall. We are going to go towards the left side first. So we are going to frame the left leg with the hands. And this is like the first bus stop of the shape. So you can totally stay here and you don't have to take the next step that I'm going to show, okay? We elongate the spine, we drag the abdomen and the chest towards the left side. We can stay here upright with the back of the skull lengthening and the face soft. You can also add the second step, which would be trying to get the right hand to the outside of the left foot. If this doesn't work, you can always take a strap and pull from the strap. If this is too much, like I said before, this first shape, it's perfectly fine with less of the challenge, okay? So I'm folding a little further forward, taking the right hand to the outside of the foot. And if you're doing that or with the strap, you're pulling a little bit so you can create this torsion, right? Or twisting action of the belly and the chest towards the left. Beautiful. Then we are pressing through the legs so we can come back to the neutral. Give yourself a moment to breathe. And then we are switching over to the right side, the second side, lifting the abdomen and the chest over towards that right side. You can stay here. This is perfectly effective. Or the second version, which is left hand would come outside your right foot, lifting the abdomen, dragging it over to the right, and then folding a little more. We are coming back. Taking another moment here to breathe in the seated upright position, relaxing shoulders. Maybe it's a sigh out. And then use your hands, help them bring your legs back together and the soles of the feet connecting. Any amount that it's possible, and your heels don't need to be super close to you. You can push the heels away and make it a little wider of a diamond shape, okay? So either or, they both work. Holding the feet or the ankles or anywhere in your shins, pull a little bit so you elongate the spine again. Don't push your knees down. It's not necessary. Yes, you could use your blocks to support your legs, right? So you can put them close to your thighs or close to the hips if needed. That feels really good. And from here, we're going to soften a little. So take a nice inhalation. And with the exhale, we just fold and we release. We are returning slowly back to that seat. This time with the hands, we bring the knees towards one another. Good. You can keep a block close by if you want to use it for the short version of the bridge pose that we are going to do. We are going to actually do only one that it's with movement, with the arms coming up and then returning. If you prefer to do a more static one, you bring the block under the pelvis and you stay there for the amount of time that we are using, okay? So my heels are close to the body, the feet are parallel facing forward, and you want your shoulder blades to be connected behind the chest. We are going to engage the back body so we can create this lift, right, after all the workout. So we press through the feet, we inhale, lifting pelvis and arms, pressing through the back of the skull into that bridge pose. We hold it there a little bit by lifting the tailbone. And then with the exhale, we are trying to segment the spine and come back slow all the way down to the floor. Excellent job. Good. Okay, let's walk those feet a little wider towards the edges of your sticky mat. And you can bring your arms to a T letter or cactus, and let's do a few windshield wipers here with the legs. You don't need to go super far. If that feels like it's too much for your hips, you just wiggle them halfway. Good. And when coming back, we hug both knees in, rock a little. Super. And from here, we are officially coming into Shavasana. So you can use any kind of prop you want to enhance these few minutes that we take to rest, releasing arms to the sides or bringing your palms into your belly, releasing the legs to the side, sometimes rolling a blanket under your thighs, or just putting your blocks there can be really beneficial. We're going to take a few minutes here to surrender after this whole practice, and make sure that as we surrender, we are letting the benefits, the effects, the jewel of this practice gradually sink and be absorbed as we rest and restore.